Hello viewers. So in this particular video we are going to talk about a green building. What does actually a green building means? Is it a building which is covered with vegetation all throughout, or is it basically refers to a building that is painted in green? No. The definition of green building is basically a bit broader compared to this. So let's understand what does actually a green building means with the help of this schematic diagram which you all can see on the screen itself. So let's with the help of this particular schematic diagram, we will discuss that on what parameters the green part of a green building actually depends. So starting with the first and the foremost head which you all can see on the top of this particular building itself, that is the photovoltaic generation. So photovoltaic basically comprises of two terms, photo and voltaic. So it refers to the solar panels that we are installing over the surface of our building for the generation of the electricity. So it basically converts the light energy that is basically coming from the sun directly into electrical energy, and that is basically being processed for all the electrical activities required within that particular building. So since it's a kind of renewable source of energy and it is not relying on the fossil fuels, so it is making a building green. So first tick is photovoltaic generation, that is the installation of the solar panels. Moving on to the second head, that is basically the rooftop planting. So rooftop planting with some kind of vegetation and green plants is actually making your building green. How it basically prevents the one and the most important thing, that is the urban heat island effects. It basically refers to that there is a certain, you can see that increase in temperature in the areas where we are having this concrete jungles or the buildings, as compared to the areas where we don't have such buildings, where we are having the plants and the trees. So the increase in temperature is because of these buildings only. So you can reduce that by planting, you can some kind of vegetation on the roof of your building itself. And it just not only prevents the urban heat island effect, but it also provides shades to your building. It also reduces the energy consumption of your building by just, you can see that the process of evapotranspiration. So evapotranspiration is the loss of water from the roots of the plants, or we can say leaves of the plant itself. So it causes the air to get cooled down. It also makes the roof cooler, as a result of which less amount of cooling is basically required for your building. So it reduces the overall energy consumption of the building as well. It prevents the dust, you can say prevents the smog, it prevents the noise also, because it is having acoustic properties as well. So these are some of the important things. Moving on to the third parameter, that is basically improving insulation. Again, materials plays a very important role in the building design, because it's the materials only that is going to determine that how much operational load is going to come on your building, that how much energy consumption is going to occur inside your building. Because if you're providing good quality materials, if your insulation properties of the material is very good, it's just awesome, then in that particular case you will directly going to reduce the heating and the cooling loads of the building, as a result of which you will get lesser energy bills or less electricity bills, uh, otherwise the case may be. So improving insulation is another important parameter. Moving on to the fourth point, that is basically automated ventilation control. So automated ventilation control basically refers to what? It basically refers to providing ventilation that can be controlled automatically. So the key components of the automatic or the automated ventilation control basically includes the sensors, the controllers, and the actuators. So sensors are the one which basically detect and monitor factors like CO2 levels, temperature, humidity, wind speed, occupancy, etc. Controllers basically takes the data from the sensors and they basically process the data. Depending upon that, they basically provide the ventilation that is actually required for that particular room or the area. Actuators are physically the one who changes the ventilation system settings, for example electrical window drives, fan motors, etc. And these ventilation control system basically depends upon the three major parameters, that is the occupancy, number of people residing in that particular building or in that particular coordinated space, the weather pattern, and the demand. So they can be focused on to these three factors, and they can also be time based. Yes. Moving on to this fifth parameter, that is basically the restriction of sunlight. So obviously if you are having trees beside your building, big trees, then they can provide shade to your building by providing the cutout from the direct sunlight to through the windows or through the fenestrations. And yes, shading is an also important factor, and it has basically been recommended as per the IGBC that you should provide actually 80% windows with a projection factor of 0.5 or even more than that. Next, we are basically moving to the sixth one, that is, you can see the lighting control using the natural light. So yes, there should be some kind of arrangement whether the natural light is allowed to stay inside your building for a longer time. You need not to rely solely on the artificial lighting like the CFL or the incandescent bulbs. So that is another important factor. Next is lightning control using motion detector sensors. So motion detection sensors, or you can say that PIR, that is the passive infrared sensors, are used to automatically control the lights by detecting the movement of the people within the specific area. Like if somebody is moving, the light will automatically get switched on with the help of the sensor and the controller technology. And if there is no particular people moving inside that particular area for a specific period of time, the light will automatically get turned off if there is no activity being observed. So that is another important thing. Next is basically the high efficiency light fixtures. You are installing light bulbs inside your homes, but what if they are consuming a large amount of energy? You might have seen that many people are complaining that my electricity bills are coming this much. It might possible that the bulbs which you are using are actually the incandescent bulbs, or we can say that the bulbs which are consuming lesser energy to produce the same amount of lumens. Like if we do a comparison between all the different categories of bulbs, you can see in the graph itself, we are having at the bottom kerosene, and the increasing efficiency basically increases with the incandescent, fluorescent, high intensity and light emitting diode. So if we do a comparison between the incandescent and fluorescence bulb, then we can say that in order to produce the same intensity of light, that is 700 lumens, an incandescent bulb actually requires 60 watts of power. If you do the same comparison with a CFL bulb, to produce 700 lumens, you need only 15 watts of power. Although the initial investment in case of the CFL bulbs is high as compared to the incandescent bulbs, but what if you are on a long run getting lesser electricity bills as compared to the one who are using the incandescent bulbs? That's a good option now. So why not to go with the CFL one? Exactly. Okay, so next we are having the rainwater utilization system. So yes, for a building, it's very important. It's very important to manage the storm water that is basically coming on your rooftop or coming inside your areas associated with the particular building, because the rainwater is actually considered to be one of a good quality water, and it can be preserved for several purposes, not for drinking but for other purposes. You can utilize that particular water. So you should have some kind of measures in order to enhance or in order to encourage rainwater harvesting systems, rainwater utilization systems inside your building as well. So that is another parameter that is making your building a green building. Last but not the least, you should have efficient HVAC system, that is heating, ventilation and cooling systems. So these are the parameters that is going to make your building green. So I think I have discussed almost all the parameters which is going to classify your building as a green building, and these green buildings are basically been rated based upon the certain rating systems. Like we are having LEED, we are having IGBC, we are having you can see GRIHA, and so on many rating systems, and the codes are there to establish the necessary compliance. So hope you guys enjoyed this particular video. Stay tuned for more such videos. Bye bye.